Then, so welcome to the session, everybody. I will be doing less talking today, so because we have amazing wisdom, personal stories, uh, yeah, speakers in the house. So I'm looking forward to learning as well and taking a step back and just taking all the incredible tips and tricks and techniques we're going to hear from everybody. This is obviously, it's not a class, so as always, contribution is expected and required, and it thrives. The group thrive better when we can all say something rather than, unless of course if you feel more comfortable just listening. But if you do have something you want to share, just feel free to unmute yourself. Obviously, we take turns. We don't want to talk over each other because we want to give each other an opportunity to speak. But yeah, you unmute and you share. There's no wrong or right. It's about sharing our wisdom and then taking whatever we need to take from it, and then hopefully internally become better beings. That's what this group is about. So without further ado, I would like to introduce our topic today. And each speaker, I'm not going to introduce you because I want the opportunity for you to introduce yourself in your own words and what you feel comfortable sharing about yourself. So when it's your turn to speak on whatever area you may be interested in speaking in, or you've been allocated to speak on, I encourage you to reintroduce yourself based on what you bring here. So, but I will introduce just the topic. So as many of you know, today is about mental glow up, or mental well-being really. But because we have to go with what's in the market, what's relatable with this stage or season we're in, 2024. Glow up, is what's being used. But yeah, so mental glow up is really essentially how do we have a better overall well-being? How do we be our best, both externally, but most importantly, internally? So our presenters will be Flora Chol, Nyamach Nyang, Orlando Green, which will join us at 7, Tempest Alphonse, and obviously myself as well. So, okay. So, what is a mental glow up, right? So to me, in my opinion, or what I observe is that when people speak of glow up, or you're glowing, or we mostly associate that with outward, with the look or what we easily can see, because it's obviously easier to see if someone's happy by the external, but to what extent they are happy, only them they can tell us, or only the action or the behavior will tell us whether they are truly happy within themselves. But the first we see is how they look outside. So when we think of glow up, we think of the body, the external side of it, or the beauty we see. But this session today is about acknowledging that is important, because sometimes, you feel good outside, it also impacts the inside. But we, so much enough effort is not put into how we feel inside. Like a lot of work we don't put, the society doesn't really put so much importance in that. So we want to make sure that this session is about how can we put how do we put a spotlight on our mental health and internal feeling, so then we glow up inward and then it reflects outside in how we are seen by the world. So it has to do with holistic. It's about your physical, emotional, and obviously mental and spiritual being. So how do we transform to be a better version of ourselves? That's what mental glow up is about. So, we know that to glow up, obviously, you can take intentional step or do certain things to enhance, your physical, even your emotional. You may, invest in therapy, and you may invest in surgical stuff or products to enhance. So glow up can be both natural. You could just glow up, doing certain simple things that are not costly, or you may do things that cost you to achieve glow up. And there's no wrong or right. Like, it's up to you how do you want to achieve it, as long as it's internally, it's something that feels good for you. It's giving you that overall feeling of confidence and success, you know, in your own way, or happier. It can be gradual. So you could have, you know, slow, gradual, you're working yourself, you're healing and you glow. Or it could be, you know, something that is temporary. Maybe you have seasons where you glow and you feel good, and then you have seasons of downtime, which happens in life. Can be permanent, you know, and it can be temporary. But at the end of the day, it has lots of benefits. And some of the benefits of glow up includes, you know, for those who can see the screen, if you're using your laptop, you know, benefits include glowing up mentally. So feeling good, happy, confident, and you know, your ability to bounce back and be able to weather with life and challenges without feeling knocked down because you are mentally strong. You can, you know, obviously, benefits include lower risk of illness. So if you're happy mentally, your ability to you know, let's say you got a cold, you know, you bounce back quicker if you don't have, you know, you're mentally and emotionally feeling good. Obviously reduce anxiety. If you're confident, then less things will worry you. You have increased self-esteem, so your ability to believe in yourself, you know, your worth, you know, you have more self-love, so you're more accepting of yourself and your capability. You obviously would function at a higher level of productivity, so going on with life, getting things done because you're feeling good, you're feeling confident. Reduce risk of depression, because if you feel good, then obviously, you know, you're less likely to feel depressed. Improve health in general. So if you're feeling good physically, mentally, emotionally, you'll have improved health compared to someone who may just be glowing on one side of their health. Maybe they're glowing physically, but not mentally. So you have a better health overall. There's also increased life expectancy. So your ability to live longer, because if you don't have depression or anxiety and your health is improved, then obviously your quality of life improves as well. And therefore, you know, you live longer. And obviously good physical health. So those are some of the benefits of, you know, the topic we're going to talk about. And so without further ado, I will be introducing some people here who will be speaking on different areas. So we're going to take it in one section at a time, you know, so that people can have an input into this topic. So we'll start with, you know, first it will be, you know, how do you achieve mental glow up? So we're going to talk about things like mindsets, you know, goal setting and things like that. And then we'll go into emotional well-being. So what are some of the things you can do to be emotionally well? How do you regulate yourself? You know, so examples maybe things like, you know, being in the nature or journaling. You know, tips will come from the people that will be speaking, and then we'll talk about physical health. You know, what are some of the things you do to glow up physically? So things like exercise, eating well, and so forth. And then the last one we'll speak on will be spiritual well-being, which is another very important area, because we are a holistic human being. We're mind, body, and spirit, not just body. And, you know, so all of them impacts each other. And when you glow from one side, it also impacts the other side. So we will be speaking on those areas, and I've got some amazing people that will speak on each area. So we can start. So if everybody who are presenting, if you are happy to now weigh in, and let me know in the chat if you're not ready. I know 6 o'clock is a busy time, and we've got kids, there's things to be done. So if you need time to buy time, let me know. I'm happy to always jump in to help out. But I would like to start with, let me check. So someone who's, you know, maybe before I call everybody, can someone maybe give me the definition of glow up that I may have missed here? What do you think of glow up when you think of glowing up mentally?
Glow up to me means like just being better than I was yesterday. So it could be in any area, but just feeling that I did my best, and yeah, I'm like one step closer towards my goal. That's what I think glow up is.
Amazing. That is good. Yeah, that excellent. That is it. Thank you for sharing that. Anyone else? What is glow up to you personally? So yeah, Mac, you got your camera and mic on. Do you want to give us your definition of glowing up?
Sounds good. Is it like glow up as in like sort of like uplifting yourself sort of thing?
Yeah, that's
No? Yeah.
yeah, it could be that. Yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to add into my definition of glow up, as in when you're telling someone, or if someone is telling me you're glowing up, it's another way of telling me you look happy, you know? That's how I understand it.
Mm.
You glow up, oh, okay, I look happy. Or I tell someone you're glowing, it means, oh, you're really happy. So that's my sum up of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's doing well. It's like things are going good for you. You look good, you look confident, you're happy, you're having your best season. You know, it's giving happiness. Yeah, yeah. So that is that. Does
Definitely.
that make sense for you, Mac?
Yeah, no, definitely. You know.
Awesome. Awesome. So we shall start with so let's go with this. Sorry, I'm just trying to work out my slides. Okay. How about we start with emotional glow up? So I'm going to call Flora on board. Ha, good timing. On board. She's going to introduce herself and she's just going to talk to us about what it means to emotionally glow up. And obviously all of us will have a different version. So let's help cheer on Flora. Let's share our own tips as well when time allows. And then we'll move on to the other part of glowing up. Welcome, Flora.
Hello, Nyasha, and hi to the rest of the team. Thank you all for waiting for me. I really appreciate your patience. I'm so honored and I'm so happy to be here and to be a part of this discussion and to be among so many like-minded individuals. So before we get started, I'd like to acknowledge that the land that I meet you all on virtually is the traditional country of the around people, the populations, and as a Black woman, as a refugee, I'm a guest on the stolen lands, and sovereignty was never ceded. So I always like to make a point of giving that recognition and the respect. So on the topic of emotional glow up, for me personally, as as a creative, should I say, because I'm from a writing background, and a lot of the things within my emotional world, or in my emotional realm, I navigate those things like through my art and through my writing. So emotional glow up for me comes it comes in waves, should I say, and it is about me recognizing that my glow up, as Nyasha was saying, and Nyachan was saying at the beginning of the discussion, it's so much more than what is external and what is on the surface, but more or less what is internal. And um, when I how I see myself is growing up emotionally is when I know that at an emotional level, at an internal level, I am grounded and I'm content. And if I'm grounded and I'm content internally, then I can um, lead outwards and do things outside of my external world because I'm leading from within. I'm not leading based on what is within my outside physical world and the many different should I say like factors that may influence my choices, my actions, my decisions. So when I want to see myself emotionally glowing up, I want to be able to lead by faith, and not go based on things that I see and things that I see through sight. So when I say leading by faith, I'm talking about, growing my my spiritual wisdom and my spiritual connection to like like God and a higher, force that is so much more greater than me, that is so much more greater than my physical life, than the people around me, than my work, than my relationships and people that are within those categories. So I see emotional glow up as, as growing my faith and standing firmly in my faith and not being able to be swayed like simply just by, should I say like negative forces. I see emotional glow up as me being content and me being confident, me being able to, step into the full glory of, of the vision and the vision of the life purpose that God has for me. Me being able to like step into a room or like step onto a stage that has like 1,000 people and do what I gotta do and say what I gotta say, without thinking, oh, like I'm like someone is not gonna like me or someone is not gonna feel, great about what I'm doing or me as a person. It's about me stepping out in my full glory and saying that it's okay if people don't like me. It's okay if people don't like a particular thing that I do, or it's not for them. It's me saying I'm still going to be confident, regardless of that. I'm still going to be able to do what I do and do what I love because I know that, that's the purpose of my existence. So I hope I'm not going on a tangent, but my last and final point of emotional glow up is me putting a lot of effort and energy into healing my healing my past childhood traumas and any kind of traumas that may impact my life now. Um, like I'm a young mom. Like I have 2 little boys, and my eldest is only like 3.5. And ever since he was born, like I've made it my vision to heal every single like childhood or mother wound that I had long before like I became a mom. And I've been working towards that like since he was born. And now that I have his brother, I feel that I'm still constantly working towards that. And I'm doing that from from a realm of actively trying to heal my traumas. Not just saying like, okay, like, this is what my mother did and this is how that trauma impacted me, but also saying, okay, like that trauma impacted me, but how does it show up in everyday life? How does it show up when I'm interacting with my kids? How does it show up when I'm triggered? So those are the things that are involved in like my emotional glow up, me being actively present, actively aware of my internal and external world, me just trying to lead myself as a woman who believes in herself, who has faith in herself and understands that life is so much more than what I'm doing now, that there's a bigger purpose, for me, for my life and the plan that I want for myself. So yeah, that's what emotional glow is for me. And I feel that when I'm glowing internally, like I'm gonna glow like externally regardless, whether I got a wig on or like makeup on or anything. If I'm glowing within, like, all is well. Thank you.
Wow, thank you so much. So much wisdom in that and what you said about healing yourself after you having your, your first and realizing that hey, I could be better, right? I could take control. I'm wondering if anyone wants to say, touched by what was said and you want to, share some tips or have any questions for Flora. Obviously she's here for the whole session, so there will be opportunity for people to go back and forth on certain things. But yeah, if there's anyone who wants to say anything on that, I want to give the room the chance.
Hi, everyone. This is Sidonia. Nishan, thank you for the chance. Flora, thank you for that. That was very detailed and very nice to hear. You said the right things. And I think it sits with a lot of us, if not all of us. And I just want to add that for me, glow up or glowing up generally is not a term that fits one part of our lives. To me, I think it's a journey. It's a process. It's, like you said, assessing yourself and assessing what needs to be worked on in your life and bettered, like recognizing your traumas, recognizing your areas that are not quite where you want to be, and putting in the steps and putting in the work, putting in the effort to work on it every day, choosing to work on yourself every day towards your glowing up. It's not a one-off process. It's not a, today I'm gonna go to the gym and exercise and then I'll glow up kind of thing. It's an everyday pick. A lot of us have been wounded, and a lot of us grew up not learning how to undo difficult things, or remove stains and pain that has been attached to us. And so we are now, just as adults, recognizing that there's so much on us that if we let go of, we can glow up and we can feel more free and light. And so we now go into the journey of detaching ourselves from some of those pains and learning new things and new ways that benefits our lives. So this glow up is, for me, is huge. For me, is my everyday, how do I put it? Like every day I pick to do something for myself that will better me mentally, emotionally, physically, my general health. And every day I take that step. And then tomorrow I pick another one in another area of my life. And the more I do it, the more obviously the results are going to show, because then you're going to be more mentally healthier version of yourself. Every day you choose to do a physical self-care routine. It adds in as well to your glow. I know we are talking about mental, but physically taking care of ourselves is also a part of our mental grow up, because when you look like crap and you live in a crappy environment, you're not going to feel good in the inside. So for me, it goes hand in hand. So I do agree with everything you just said. I just wanted to add that for me, it's a process. It's not a one thing that we can just say, okay, we'll do this on glow up. It's the everyday steps that we take. And obviously the more steps you take, the more glowing you're going to glow, or the more glow your life is going to glow, and the more positive effects your glow is going to have on others. Because when you glow, the people that are connected to you is gonna also want to experience that glow. So that's all I can add.
Thank you very much, Sidonia. And yeah, you've covered some of the areas that we'll be going to for sure. And it's holistic. It's not just one part, and it's different for all of us. But as long as we are taking intentional steps to glowing or healing our wounds, as having that self-awareness of there's areas I could work on, and then actually being intentional in working on those. It's not a straight line. Sometimes, Flora said it can be seasonal. We can have doing really well, and then something would come and throw us off, and a lot of stuff that could happen in our lives. Sometimes we don't have control over those. So that's why, if we are reflective enough on what wounds do we have, whether they were caused by someone else or environment or whatever, and we do our best to work at least on some of them, then eventually we will get there, and then we will build this sense of emotional resilience, and compassion as well, for ourselves, because when we are aware of those wounds and our deficits and our emotions due to our upbringing or whatever, we can have some compassion with ourselves that, you know, I know I can be better, but this is not my fault completely, you know. So just being aware of that is important, and that's just part of building that emotional intelligence. So Flora and Nyajama, Flora, I'll give you space, and then Nyajama next. Yeah, thank you. Sorry if I said your name wrong. Nyajama, Nyajima.
It's just Najima, all good.
No, I was actually just going to say exactly what you said, Nyasha, about compassion, and how pretty much compassion is a very integral part of healing, of growing up, of growing. Because, you know, as you said, like, growing up is not all about, you know, bubble baths and, you know, going to wine tours and going to the gym, as Sonia said, and just doing 1 week workout and saying, yep, I'm good. You know, like, you can literally have a month of, you know, being on a high, and then something will just happen that will put you on a low. And during those moments of during those moments, it's very important to be very compassionate to yourself, and also taking the active steps to ensure that you're being actively compassionate. You know, you say your affirmations to yourself, you know, you tell yourself that this is not your fault, and this book conscious of yourself or your being. You know, and when you're being compassionate to yourself, slow down. You know, you don't have to be at your productivity. You know, you just spend it, you know, eat macas all day. That's what's gonna make you feel good. You do that. So the compassion part is very important, because I remember when I was actively working towards healing journey, I thought I could be compassionate because people cause my trauma, but not myself. So I figured that out. I was like, okay. So that's what I want to just reiterate. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. That's great. Nyajima.
I was just gonna say Flora. Flora, and by the way, I'm a big fan. I saw you perform like a live, like a poetry at some point, so I'm a big fan. I just wanted to say it was really good to see that, like, you know, as a mother, and I know you've said a lot of stuff about motherhood before when I've seen you speak. So it's so inspirational to see that, like, you know, you're still working on breaking those generational curses. I think around emotional healing, I think I can totally relate as someone who's like in their 20s, and I think emotional reg, when I think about it, I think just back to attachment and us trying to figure out what that means and the relationship we have with our parents and how that sort of comes out with the relationship we have with people and to ourselves. So I think it's so inspirational to see that even through transitions of life, whether it's through, you know, adolescence, adulthood, and now even into motherhood, it's something that, you know, you're still actively working on. Because I'm in my 20s and I'm like, I don't think I'm going to make it out, but I'm happy that, you know, you're able to still have that balance between recognizing the trauma and the emotional damage, but like being hopeful that, you know, you can still have that sort of emotional healing where you have the space to express yourself, you have the space to sort of process emotions and deal with stuff in a different way. And I think if you're sort of used to people sort of suppressing emotions, not talking about it, you sort of adopt that same mentality. So I think, yeah, this whole healing thing around, you know, accepting emotions and being compassionate towards yourself, I think is really inspirational. So yeah.
Thank you, Najima. Yeah, and yeah, Flora, we all are fans. So I was so excited to have you on board, because yeah, you're just amazing, and it's clear, it shows that you're doing the work. You're doing the work in the healing space, because it shows, and you know, that is a definition of growing up mentally, when, you know, and it's not to put any pressure on you, but when people can be like, wow, I want, you know, I wonder how she do it. Yeah. Does anyone else have their hand up, just in case I don't see it? Welcome, Orlando. You haven't missed anything. Thank you for
Really? Wow. You wouldn't?
Could someone mute who's can we mute? I don't know. How do I mute that? Okay, yeah. So yeah, welcome aboard, Orlando. We're talking on emotional healing. And I guess on the back of that, you know, we just spoke about, you know, emotional regulation, working on yourself, doing the work. having some compassion, recognizing past traumas, currents, and then actually being intentional in healing those areas so you can be your best version of yourself emotionally. Because when you do that, obviously you have then greater acceptance of yourself, because you feel like, well, I'm good. I'm doing the best I can. Because we know that when we're not emotionally healed, like obviously I'm still doing the work, there is sense of I'm not complete, you know, because you really want, especially emotionally, you want to be the best person you can be to the people around you, to yourself. And so that level of self-acceptance can suffer when we're not doing the work, because because emotions, pretty much run everything. It runs our relationships, it runs, like it impacts everything that we do. So when you're doing the work, at least you can say, at least I'm trying, I'm doing something. But lack of awareness, obviously you will just cause yourself distraction and you will never know why that is happening. So on the back of that, now that we're talking about emotional healing, I thought we could then, because emotional healing, I think Flora also touched on spiritual, that sense of higher power, sense of I am me, and I don't need to do anything. I am good enough. I'm meant to be here. So without further ado, I would like to introduce someone who's going to talk to us about, some of the techniques or what works for them. What does spiritual, how do you make sure you stay grounded in your spirituality? And that person is Tempest Alphonse. So Tempest, please take us on that journey on the back of emotional. And it's okay if some of them cross over, because it's part of it. But I guess from a spiritual or higher power is a little bit different compared to just emotionally regulating ourselves. So I'll give you the space and introduce yourself. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Nyashan. And I'm really happy to be here today. And my name is Tempest. I am a youth worker, and also one of the things that I do outside work is that I'm heavily involved in my church. And when Nyashan spoke to me about the spiritual aspect of things, I thought about it, and I thought it's an amazing space to talk about, but also when we're talking about spiritual glow up, I just want to say that it's different for everyone. It's such a personal thing. So what I'm going to be talking about, I'm mainly drawing it from my own personal faith beliefs, but also if it doesn't resonate so much with you or your beliefs, that's fine. But I want us to take the lessons, or like take the things that resonate with you, and if it doesn't, that's okay. I really love this space because we're learning from one another. I'm just drawing on my own insights and my own experiences, but also it's a very open space. We can learn from one another. You can also give your own perspective as well. And yeah, I'm really happy to share from my own insights. So like I said before, I'm going to be talking about spiritual health, and I am going to take it from an angle of faith, but also faith in God, because I know some people don't believe in God. They maybe have different beliefs, like in the universe or something else. But today I'm going to be speaking in that angle. And I'm just going to preface again, I'm a Christian, and also I believe in God, and I live my life based on the principles that come from the Bible. And so when I was asked how I keep myself grounded in my spiritual health, most of the things that I reflect on in my life today is mainly from what I got out of my relationship with God, and also his word and how it enriches my life. And even though the world is looking different, things can come, our lives can look different. A lot of things happen in your life. And one thing that has always remained constant or helped me be grounded was my faith in God. So in regards to spiritual health is a facet of yourself that helps you get connected to something that's greater than yourself, and it helps you find peace and hope in life. So it's something that is your inner man, basically, something that's internal. I love what Flora was talking about earlier. It's something that transcends your own self. So it's a higher power that you believe in and you have faith in. So regardless of what's happening in your life, you have a deeper faith that, you know, gives you hope day to day to live and cope with the daily stresses of life. And before Nyashan was talking about, it's a holistic thing. So when we talk about health, let's think about everything. I love also what Sidonia was talking about. It's not just the physical, it's not just the mental, but also think about every aspect of your life, your spiritual health. And sometimes the spiritual aspect can be neglected because the other things may seem like you can work on it better, but also you feeding your spiritual health is beneficial for you to live a holistically healthy life. And so some of the tips that I have, or some things that keep me grounded in my faith, includes prayer. So having daily prayer, or it could be something for you, could be daily routines or things that you do that you don't, like you spend time doing it. So for example, if I'm praying, I have a prayer time every day. And as much as I can, I don't deviate from that because it's a habit. Because habits, you have to do it every day and keep consistency as well. It could look like meditation to other people, just having a time of solitude and just being one with yourself, and also with God or with the universe or whatever you believe in. Just having that time of solitude and just focusing yourself on something. Praying for me is communication with God, spending time reading the Bible as well, because that's how I build my faith, by reading, because everything I find in life, everything that I may be going through, I find it, or I find a solution in the Word of God, or I find a solution in the Bible. Whatever the situation may look like, the good ones, the bad ones, a different perspective, I always find the answer in there. So I spend time reading it so that I can build up also my faith and I can understand the world better. And also guarding your heart or guarding yourself, protecting what you actually put inside of you. What do you watch? What do you listen to? What do you intake, like from different aspects of life, also has an impact on your spiritual life or your spiritual health. It really does. So if you want to glow up spiritually, what are those things that you can help yourself with? Like, what do you listen to? What do you build yourself up with? Because it really is important in terms of building your spiritual health, listening to things that encourage you, watching things that are positive, and allowing things that are positive to come inside of you, so that also, because whatever you put out is, put in is what you put out. So out of your heart brings out things. So like if you're always listening to things that are uplifting, encouraging, supportive, positive, you're most likely going to do the same thing to other people. So, or that's your output as well. So guarding your heart, guarding your mind, but and being aware of what you're letting inside your body. Also minding your associations, people who you are close with, because they also have the ability to put either good things or bad things in your life. So just being mindful of what it is, who you are associated with, which kind of relationships you have, because it impacts you internally as well. It impacts your spiritual health. Also having a community around you. My community may look like a church. Yours may look like a community group. You know, I don't know, like a group that you always catch up with. It could be your social clubs and things like that. People who are believing in the same things, doing the same things that you do, help you as well. It encourages you, it equips you as well internally to to even help you serve others better. So if you have surround yourself with a community that are doing the same thing as you or believing the same beliefs as you, because that's where you draw also strength from. That's where you draw different skills and abilities to also deal with your own things that you might be going through internally. Having people around you to encourage you, to uplift you in those times are also great. Also reaching out when I know, maybe I need help with stuff. When I'm not coping, maybe I can reach out to a spiritual leader or someone I can trust with different things that I might be going through in my life. So those are some tips that I have for when I'm going through something spiritually. I could reach out to a pastor, my spiritual leader, to help in those kind of situations. It might be, it might encourage me, pray for me, or things like that, and it builds me up afterwards and comforts me through that time. So those are some things that I do. And also, I always have a journal. My journals are always full. I can't count how many journals I have in a year because I like journaling a lot. And that just gives me perspective and keeping me grateful for things. My journal has gratitude stuff. What happened during my day that was positive, what happened during my day that was negative, what can I improve on, or different perspectives on different things that happened during the day. I just usually journal them down, and then just help me reflectively practice on my own day and on my own life as well. And having also daily affirmations to just build yourself up as well, speaking positive things about yourself, because we can be our own critics sometimes. So just speaking and building yourself up with positive things daily can help also build up your spiritual health and help you also glow up spiritually, because you're speaking positivity, you're building yourself up, uplifting yourself every day by speaking positive things. Daily affirmations also help a lot. And everything that I've spoken about, all these things help me be strong internally, and then it helps me also be better at serving other people, because I'm full within myself, so that I'm able to now serve other people out of the fullness of what I am. Because if I am lacking in any aspect of my spiritual health or any aspect of my health now, I won't be bringing my best self to situations. But when you're building up your spiritual health, you're building up yourself internally, you're able to now also serve out of that space. You're full, and you can pour into other people, and you can feel others as well, because our life is, we don't just live for ourselves, we also live for and impact other people around us. So once you are growing up spiritually, you're also able to help others grow up spiritually, or pour into other people as well. So those are some of the things that when I was asked how do you stay grounded, those are the things that came into my mind, and I just thought there some things that I could share with everyone. But also, yeah, if there's anything that resonates with someone else, or something that they do to build up their spiritual health, we can also learn from one another. So thank you for listening, and thank you for the opportunity again.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Tempest. Spiritually enriching. Anyone wants to, let's share, ask questions before we move on to the next topic. We're continuing on the spiritual glow up. Anything that Tempest has said that you resonate with, and she said it very clearly that, and I was really happy that you use some examples that are not about religion, even just having gratitude and ability to let go and believe in higher power, or other things that you spoke about. So it doesn't have to be, it's not about religion, it's about having that mindset of I'm not in control of everything, and that there is a higher power, and for Tempest, it's Jesus Christ the Lord, and for somebody else it could be something else. But the ability to know that there is, you know, when we have someone that's bigger than us, then we have the knowledge that we have to let things go. So then when we let go of that control, then we're able to then stay in present, because control stops us from living, because we want to control the future. We want to control the past. We don't live in present. But when you have something bigger than you, then you go, well, it's already happened and I don't know what's going to happen next. So then you live in present. And if you live in present, then you have the ability to be grateful for what you have. So then you operate from a abundance rather than lack of. You know, you appreciate what you have now and you accept your situation as it is. You know, so you become a much more accepting of situations, because it's not about what's going to happen and it's not about what's happened. And that can only happen with you have that understanding that there is something bigger than me. You know, there is something that is guiding me, and I'm trusting that everything's going to be okay. I'm trusting that, you know, I guess in other people, they may look at it as manifesting, you know, you believe that you were put here for a reason and things will work out accordingly. So when we have that power, it gives us peace. It gives us sense of, and we glow because we can focus on now, you know? And so therefore we're not tense, we're not worried, we're not distracted. We just like, you know, it's not about, oh, control, you know, you're just going to let things happen. You're not going to turn up for work because God will give you money or something like that. No, it's a control of bigger than that. You know, you still turn up for work, but you're not worried that, you know, will the company shut down? You're not, you know, sleeping, you know, you're not worried about your health. Like, what if, you know, you're not scared that if I drive a car, what if something happened? Like you leave that sort of stuff to someone else, and that someone, you give gratitude and you worship it and you praise it or whatnot, you know, however you acknowledge that thing that gives you that. So I went too far, but yeah, anyone else want to talk on the back of that before we move on to the other part? Thank you, Tempest. That was beautiful.
Yeah, can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm kind of like sitting down to laying down. I just wanted to say, like, Tempest, that was pretty well said. Like, pretty much all the stuff that you said, that was pretty good. I just wanted to say, is Sedona still around? Sedona?
Yeah, I'm still around.
Yeah, he's still around. I just want to say, touch based on what you were saying earlier about wins and stuff, right? I wanted to ask you, like, how do you define wins? Like, what do you think about it? Because, like, the way I see things, right, is that wounds are like they're inflicted by others upon you. You know what I mean? So it's affecting you some sort of way, right? But I feel like you still have power to kind of decide upon that. You know what I mean? I mean, if you're not the one that's causing the wound to yourself, why kind of reap it? You know what I mean? Especially when others are doing that to you. So I just
Yeah,
think that it's just like how you kind of see it. You know what I mean?
you are right in a way, but then also you have to, for me anyway, I believe that when you're born, when a person is born, there's a process of growth.
Right.
Okay, both physically, mentally, emotionally, and you know your capacity um on taking things is not the same. As you grow, you learn things, you evolve, you learn to be able to, oh, how do I break this down? When you're a
I feel
child,
what you're saying.
yeah. So when you're a child, and you're growing up, in an environment that that's created a lot of traumas for you, you would not know how to say, well, someone else is doing a hurt. If someone else is hurting me, is doing the hurting, so I'm not gonna allow this hurt affect me. You're not gonna know that. You're not gonna know that. Those traumas are gonna happen. Those pains are going to inflict on you.
Definitely.
And then when you grow up, if you haven't yet grew to the stage where you you realize and recognize those pains and where they come from, you're not going to be able to have the ability to say, well, someone else caused this pain to me and it wasn't my fault, and then detach yourself from it.
Pretty much. It's like easy said than done, right?
Yeah, you have to be able to get to a place where I believe most of us now have gotten to like a place of recognizing that things happened when we were young to us that were not supposed to happen, or even when we were a bit older, but we didn't understand. Things happened to us and it has affected us in a way that caused a lot of pain to us. And now we are working on ourselves, and we're working on saying, well, these things happened, it has hurt me, it wasn't my fault, but I'm not going to let it affect me anymore. I'm going to forgive, I'm going to let go, I'm going to build boundaries now on how to protect myself from getting hurt further, and I'm not going to let someone else inflict more pains on me anymore. And if somebody, I don't know if I make, does somebody want to help me here in this?
Well, pretty much what I was saying, right? Is that you
Yeah.
kind of gotta train your mental state. That's what it is. Like all these things do happen, wounds do happen.
Yes, but
like
you have to
you see the basis of it.
Yes, but you have to first get to that mental state.
Yeah, it's by training your
Not
mind,
all of us,
you know?
we don't have it when we grow up. Our mental state is not the same. So we cannot really look at someone who is maybe 20 or 30 who's got pain inflicted on them from childhood to when they were teenagers,
But
and at them and
pain
say,
doesn't have age though.
no, I know it, but I'm just doing that. I'm just giving an example. You cannot say to that person, well, how can that pain affect you when you have the power to say no to it, or when you have the power to not let it affect you? We cannot really say that, because it is going to affect the person, and the person is going to need to take time then to work through it and learn how to break down that pain.
I think what you're talking about, thank you everybody. Yeah, self-awareness, and then learning to go and get the work done.
Get the work done,
Go to therapy,
but it's gonna
speak to
affect
somebody.
you first.
Yeah,
but it's gonna affect you first, and we are human beings. You have to remember that we're not robots, we're human beings. So anything that happens to us that is hurtful is going to hurt us one way or the other, and it's just depending also
time doesn't heal all wounds unless you work on them.
And also depends on the severity of the wound inflicted. You go from there.
Awesome.
Sorry,
thank you. Thank you. So we'll move to the next topic. Thank you for
I wanted to comment on Tempest, actually.
Sure. Okay.
Fine.
All right.
I was gonna comment on that, not on this, but since it came up. So I resonate a lot with what Tempest said. I'm a Christian too, and I think, some people here might be also. And for me, I just believe that having a relationship with God or with your creator or the higher power is the foundation of health, both spiritually and mentally. I feel like for me, I have my soul that needs to be healthy, that needs to glow up. I have my mind that needs to be healthy, and then I have my body. In order for my soul to be happy, the source of what is going to make me happy is my connection to God and my relationship with God. And so I do have a strong faith in God. I do believe that my life is it's given to me, by him. And I believe that as much as I have been given the willpower and the power over my life, he oversees my power, and he oversees my life, and he helps me and guides me towards living the best version of me. And I also believe that everyone in this world has a purpose, and everyone in this world has an identity that has been given to them by God. But you are not going to know that identity and that purpose on your own if you're not connected to the creator, if you're not connected to the person or the power that gives you the identity. And if I believe that if I'm not connected to God and I don't know who I am in God, and I don't have that connection with him, and I'm not walking my journey of life with him, I am more vulnerable to other things creating an identity for me.
Yeah.
And wounding me in ways that, you know, are going to dim my light instead of helping me to glow up. And all the practices that Tempest have mentioned are the practices that we as Christians have to practice because they're in the principle of God, of working with God. Like they're praying, they're spending time, you know, with God. And then there's so many other things that we can do as well. So
thank you.
I
Thank
just
you
want
so
to
much.
add that.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you for sharing that. For those who may have not heard Tempest speak, that's awesome. So yeah, in the back of obviously we spoke about emotional well-being, and then we spoke about spiritual well-being, and now I want us to go back to the actual mental health well-being. What are some of the things that we do? So, you know, like some of the things that may have not been mentioned. So I'm going to get Nyamach to speak on some points, and some like ideally I would like more tips on actually on how to do something, because I think a lot of us are aware on what we're supposed to do, but sometimes it's harder to actually implement certain things. So you know, like to hear you know, us to share what do you actually do with whatever that you're doing, for example, you know, to be mentally healthy. You know, what are some of the things Tempest spoke about? Journaling, you know, some people may do going outdoor. I don't know. So I'm looking forward to hearing some of the things, some of the steps, you know, Nyamach or Monique, some may know her as, that she could share with us. And this is all personal or from professional experience. So there's no wrong or right. But I also encourage you guys that when someone does finish talking, if we could, you know, put your 2 cents in what you also do. So then, because someone is taking notes somewhere and, you know, they're looking for some new tips, you know, maybe exchange what they were already doing, maybe wasn't working, or what can they do? So this is a learning space for all of us. So Nyamach, if you are available, could you, you know, launch in and speak to us about some of the things that we do, you know, that we could do to be mentally, to glow mentally. Thank you.
Can you see me?
We can see you. Looks like you're in a car.
Oh yeah, yeah, because I had to drop my daughter. But yeah, just to be clear, Jishan, just before I start, I will introduce what I do business-wise later at the end, right? So I don't waste any time.
That's
and
right.
I just get straight to the point, right?
That's right. We don't want no pressure. We don't want no pressure yet.
Yeah.
We're in the healing stages, so let's focus on that one for now.
Yeah. So hi guys, nice to meet you all. I cannot see myself, but I cannot see anyone except for Nyeshan. I think you have some slides that will match my points, right?
Yeah, we can hear you. You can see me. That's awesome.
Okay. Hi everyone. I'm Monique, Nyamach, Nyadar. In case we cross paths again, those are my 3 known names. So I won't get into details about my background. I'm sure before you joined this link, there was a brief bio about me, and I will talk more about my business later on. So the 3 points I'm going to talk on, the reason I would put my 2 cents in, no one knows it all, and this is why we have this space to learn from each other, and everyone is a teacher and everyone is a student, and that's what's amazing about this journey called life. So With the first point I'm going to talk about, let me just briefly tell you guys about myself. So I have intentionally practiced the secret law of attraction for the past 15 years. And that's like, I religiously did it. Although the law of attraction is something that we all do unintentionally. I mean, I read books like The Secret that guided me through it. And they helped a lot, for the past 15 years. And before that, obviously, I was looking up to my parents. I was looking up to my community. I was letting my environment guide me to what I attract, So when you don't have control of your mind, you will end up leading a life that is controlled by others and what others have taught you and your environment. Your environment could be such a good place, a learning space, a positive space, but for many of us, our environments happen to also be full of traumas, full of so much negativity. So that also attracted what I attracted in life. So like Nishan was saying from the beginning, you can glow in so many ways. And this topic is actually really good in terms of what I do. So I have a business called Global Remedies. So I do holistic healing and holistic products. I'll talk more about that later in details. So like Nishan was saying in the beginning, actually noted it down that when I was following the law of attraction, I was glowing successfully, like literally. So I was not glowing in any other part of my life. I was not looking at my blind spots, but I was successful, I could sleep in like a 5-star hotel and still cry, by the end of my duties, by the end of my day, because I felt so empty inside. I was just basically intentionally applying the law of attraction, and I was getting everything that I wanted externally, materialistically, successfully. So I was definitely glowing successfully, but I was not glowing in other areas of my life. So it, like living in a certain way and in a certain environment, like in my community, and probably most of you guys are from the same community as I am from, I found myself always on survival mode. And it wasn't till like, when I started embarking on the journey of holistic healing that I realized that my body was, crashing, my nervous system was crashing. So I had to do something about it. And I mean, we live in a time of a lot of awakening right now. There's much more teachers out there and so much easy to get information. But then like to be a student, it has to come from within. It has to come from within you. And for most cases, something really bad has to happen for you to start on that journey. As for me, like was a couple of things. So, I was grieving and a couple of other things that made me start embarking on the holistic healing journey. And I told myself, you know what? I don't want to live like this anymore. And that was the beginning of everything. So I started my healing journey. And when we talk about holistic is literally about the journey. It's not a destination. It's not like something that you do for a period of time, a day or two, a week, and you arrive. Like there's just so many things you end up discovering about yourself, because now that you're doing it holistically, you want to feel wholesome and you want to feel whole and complete. And every day, every time you think you have reached the top of the mountain, you'll discover something new. You'll discover blind spots you'll find something that you still need to heal from. It could be, your reaction to a stranger or to someone that almost provoked you, and then you sit with yourself, because now you're very intentional with your healing journey, and you sit with yourself and you're like, did I have to stoop myself as low too? Did I have to be rude to them? I never worked on this part of me. What is provoking me? Like, what triggered me? Let me take a journey down memory lane. Is there something that I still need to face and work on? So that is what a holistic journey looks like. It is actually the journey. It's not a destination. So every day you're rediscovering yourself and you're climbing the mountain, and there will always be another mountain. So yeah, so that is holistic healing. So with the first point that I'm covering today, it's to discuss the importance of letting go of past traumas and negative experiences in order to improve mental health and overall well-being. So I would say that to let go of traumas and experiences, and I sort of covered it in my brief introduction, is something that comes from within as well. You have to tell yourself that you don't want to live like that anymore, and you're you're now ready to let go of a lot of baggages. And if you don't let go, you'll find yourself reliving a lot of experiences. Maybe those experiences are good. Maybe you want to relive them, like the way we do throwbacks all the time, Throwback Thursday. You probably had a really good experience on that journey. So somehow, even things like jokes or photos are also a way of reliving experiences, whether good or bad. It could be good for you, it could be bad for you. You're the only one who knows yourself. So what is it that you really want to relive? Do you want to relive experiences? Like, since I started my healing journey, like I said before, I was, what was the word, Nisha? I was glowing successfully. So sometimes when I look at my old photos, where I was, traveling and meeting all these dignitaries, I had a smile on my face. Then I remember how I felt on the inside at the time. So it's not something that I want to relive in that way. Maybe I want to do better this time. Not that I don't want to glow successfully, but this time I want to glow in every part of me, in every way. So yeah, so if you don't let go, you recreate and you'll keep reliving experiences. So when you have an experience, it could be a heartbreak, or it could be a loss of property, a loss of, it's mainly loss at the end of the day that we hold on to, like the way we hold on to loved ones when they pass on, and we remember them every day. So, but then people do this also with things. People do this with people. People do this with places. We hold on so much. So to let go, like, I would say that you need to be human about it, and you need to feel, let the human in you feel every emotion. If it's something that you want to let go, and definitely if it's something that you want to let go, it's something that's giving you a lot of anxiety, it's something that's giving you a lot of anger, something that's giving you a lot of discomfort, a lot of negative energy, a lot of negative emotions. So you need to be human about it. You need to feel, you need to process it, and then you release everything. If it's people, if it's places, if it's things, you release them with love and light. And that's the only way you can make room for better. Because if you keep holding on, like I said, you'll keep reliving those experiences. So the best thing you would do as service to yourself is be human about it and face everything head on, feel it in every emotion of it. And I'm not an expert with meditation. Maybe you can get help with that too. Like, I don't know everything. I'm still growing. I'm still working on a lot of things, but I have a system that works for me. A different system can work for you. Some it could be prayers, meditation, feeling things and letting go. But whatever you let go, for it not to happen to you again or make an impact on your life, you have to release it with love and light. So that's the whole point of feeling it in every human possible way, so that you can release it. Your higher self can release it. You can release it in every way, so it doesn't keep repeating itself. And it's mostly the bad things that we want to let go. So letting go of people and things that serve you, that don't serve you any good, is the best service you could do for yourself. And it was a game changer for me. It was like the beginning of my journey. I had to let go of so many things. Like I held on to like a time where, I had this materialistic thing and someone ruined it for me, an ex ruined it for me, and I'll keep retelling the story with so much anger. I could have had this right now if it wasn't for him. I had to learn to it served its time, it served its purpose. I took my lessons and I took my losses and I let it go, and I now have room for something better. So so that's the way I look at letting go of past traumas and negative experiences. The next point I wanted to cover as well is surrounding ourselves with positivity, to explore the impact of surrounding ourselves with positive influences, supportive relationships, and creating a positive environment for mental health growth. So with this one, I think we talk about it all the time. Social media is so big on cancel culture, where you're like, this person is negative, you're canceled, I'm blocking you. There's even now a song called Delete Block, so many songs as such. I'm not about that life. When I started on my healing journey, I learned to let things go with love and light. And I keep people in my life because I also want them to, there'll come a time, or they will, or they already are on the same wavelength as me. And if their spirit is not sitting well with me, there's a way the universe just removes them, or they remove themselves. So I never really have to, okay, I just saw your message. I could go all day about holistic healing. So you guys bear with me. I'll get to the last point shortly. So I never really have to do the counseling. So when they say, tell me your friends and I'll tell you who you are, it's so true. And then I would suggest, you be around people that align with your visions and missions. So whatever, if you want to be a doctor, try to find people from the health sector. If you want to be a lawyer, try and be around what's driving you, or what you're trying to achieve, or what you are. So if you're trying to be a particular profession, but then you're always around something that's not even close to that, and your friends are just derailing you, you will not get there. You may get there, but you'll not get there in a timely manner. So be around and align yourself with people that match your visions and mission. And besides, energy is transferred, so stop being Bob the Builder for everyone. Everyone can fix themselves, and when they're ready. But it doesn't mean you stop being a teacher as well. So I have to point that out. You learn so you can teach. So with all you great teachers out there, whatever you learn, share your experiences. There'll be someone ready to, you could teach someone all day, but if they're not ready and they haven't told themselves they don't want to live like that anymore, they won't even hear what you said. It will be just blah, 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 blah. So with the last point that I'm covering is learning to say no. So to discuss the significance of setting boundaries and learning to say no to commitments and situations that may negatively impact mental health. That's a tough one. So being a firstborn in a South Sudanese family, I don't know, I think some of you can relate that you automatically had to be a people's pleaser. So that's like 30 years of my life I spent being a people's pleaser. So saying no was never in my vocabulary. So I was yes, 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 yes for all the wrong reasons. But look at it this way. Be kind, not nice. So with saying no, that's something that's really hard to unlearn if you've been doing it for over 30 years, some of you 20 years, some of you more. Look at it as you need to stop being nice, you need to start being kind. So don't change, be kind where it's necessary. Like I had times where I was so nice being a people's pleaser. If someone asked me for money and I don't have it, I'll go put myself in debt because I know that I have people that can help me and go and borrow money from someone. Now I'm in debt to solve someone else's problem, you know? So I kept doing that and I realized, you know what? Why am I putting myself in debt to get someone else out of debt, you know? I don't need to do that. I need to learn to say no. So I started saying no when I don't have it, if I cannot help you. And this topic kind of contradicts because I teach people a lot of being kind and generous, but like being nice is something else. You can't always pour from an empty cup. So if you don't have it, learn to say no. So being kind and being nice are two separate things. And then, so not everything deserves a share of your energy and time, and preserve yourself by being kind and saying no. Say no to even people who are always nice to you. You will awaken them. Like most of the people I learned from, or when I had to like do it for myself, is from people who said no to me. So say no to even people who are always nice and kind, nice and generous to you. You'll go and it'll help them sit down with themselves and ask themselves, you know, what am I trying to achieve? Why am I always so nice? Like, why am I always so giving? Why then you'll hit them, yo, I'm a people's pleaser. And I don't need to please people all the time. I need to do things when I can. So say no to even people you love and people who are always nice to you so they can also help themselves. And do not help people to secure their loyalty on your rainy day. Honestly, if you're on this holistic journey, healing and everything, you'll never have a rainy day. Like they spoke about spirituality earlier. Your higher self, you know, there's a God out there. You'll always be good as long as you're doing the right thing as a human being. So don't do things just to prove yourself or to get loyalty so people can have your back when you have bad day. Help people though, so that they can learn from you and go help other people, not so you can get it in return. And then teach people how to fish. I always say this. And you won't have to always feed them. And everyone, like on my journey, I always tell people, walk with me instead of me teaching you. Let's walk this journey together, because at the end of the day, it's about the journey. And yeah, they don't depend on me anymore, like family members who are dependent. I tell them, those who are ready, they don't depend on me anymore. So they do it by themselves now. So thank you, Nisha.
No worries. Thank you so much. Thank you for getting us on that journey on how you start your healing. And as someone that I know, I sat here and I was just like, I was in a movie, and I can just hear the, you know, the authenticity in it. And yeah, so thank you for taking us through the journey on where you were, even though you had everything that, you know, visually looked like it was all good, but you know, just admitting that, you know, that it's that vulnerability that Flora talks about before, you know, just knowing that like it's more than just what's outside, and doing the inner work is a lot harder. So thank you for running us through that. And yeah, there will be obviously more opportunities in the future to go through this a bit more in depth, and maybe letting go is a topic on itself, because there's a lot as a community, as people, that we need to let go. Firstly, letting go of that we are no longer back home, we are here, letting go of that we're no longer surviving, we can actually leave. You know, there's a lot of stuff as African or South Sudanese, even just externally, there's a lot of things we need to let go. There's a lot of pain, there's a lot of hurt, and it's obviously playing out in how we are here. And that's why you know, I want to emphasize grace, for people looking outside, they will look at and say, well, we should just be able to do this and do X, Y, and Z. But until they walk a mile in our shoe as people who have faced traumas, as people who have faced intergenerational trauma, as people who have faced continually be discriminated against, it's never the same. And there's no many books that you could read that will just heal you, but having that grace, but also the awareness that we have pain we need to work on, and we need to heal, and we need to bandage it, and we need to medicate it through spiritual work, through the way we eat, through the community that guide us, through friendship we around, through what we consume. Like there's a lot we have to do, and the work is a lot much more compared to someone who was just born in a silver, I don't know, so we know. So thank you for sharing that. And obviously, to be able to achieve all that, we need to be able to adopt a growth mindset. So I'm going to get, I know usually we get people to speak. We'll speak a little bit after. So I'm going to get Orlando to talk to us, because all that is well and good. But if we don't have the growth mindset, if we don't have the ability to see that we can be better, if we don't expect anything of ourselves, then we're not going to be able to even pursue anything anyway. So Orlando, introduce yourself. You've got a few minutes with us, so please go through, and I know the pressure's on you, but just whatever you share, particularly practical tips on what we can take away today to start doing, is what would be really beneficial. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me well?
Yes, we can.
Thank you, Nation, for inviting me tonight. There's great information I'm hearing from everyone, so that's fantastic. Definitely love the energy and the passion that we have about our future and our mental health, and how we can be more positive and uplifting and empowering for ourselves and our community, which is fantastic. One of the things first I want to focus on that I really like to use is being positive. I try to wake up in the morning with a very positive mindset to start my day. That helps me out, and also gives me, in speaking previously about gratitude, I like to thank my God for waking me up, and giving me the ability to walk and see, just the very basic fundamentals about life and self, and being present in this time, and really being intentional on that positivity, that throughout the day, if anything that I come across, I should be able to handle with my positivity, first and foremost, and being intentional on that positivity. And that's a mindset. That's when you wake up and you tell yourself, literally, you can look in the mirror and start some affirmations in the morning. I am beautiful, Black is proud, Black is powerful, simple affirmations to get your day started, to motivate you. If you have a partner or you have children. And it's key for our young people, especially if you have kids going to school. You don't want to yell at them to get their day started. You want to really encourage them and keep them in a happy space, from the whole transition from the house to the car to school. And sometimes as parents, that can be a challenge because we have timelines. But we really want to stay positive for our young people, be encouraging, and sharing that love to our kids and our partners and our siblings and our family members as we start our day in the morning. That is one of my biggest go-tos, is that positive mindset. And to help me get to that space, I do a bit of meditation in the morning. And that meditation is just stretching and gratitude throughout that whole time. When gratitude is just being blessed to be here, to have my family, that everyone's healthy, I'm employed, just the bare fundamentals that we need in life, like love and food and shelter, just the simple things, and that's key, for me, and that's just one of the actions that I take to start my day, and as I move and navigate in this world as a Black man, I constantly have to be intentional on, what is my why? That motivation that really motivates me and really gets me going. Like, why am I here? Like, what's my mission? Like, what's my plan? Like, and I have to be conscious of this, because throughout the day, things will be coming at you, and they're going to try to take you off your path of being positive, off your path of, your enjoyment and the things that really motivates you for your why. You know, and once you know your why and have an idea of why you're here, you know, really be intentional on how you're going to achieve that why. And that's kind of like SMART goals. You want to be realistic about your why. You know what I mean? You want to make sure it's quite specific so you know what your why is. So you can't, you know, be veered off or deterred left or right. You know how people say sometimes, you know, those positive, negative influences always going to try to knock you off. You know how you have a good idea and you share with someone, that's not going to work. You're like, yeah, okay. You know, you have to take it as a grain of salt, you know, and be careful who you share your ideas with, because our circle, our community is very important. You know, you really want to surround yourself by positive people and people that's going to uplift you and empower you and going to cheerlead for you, because that is where you're going to get that strength and that energy and that passion to really push you to get what you want out of life. Because if you surround yourself around the naysayers and people that aren't as positive, they're going to zap that energy and they're going to try to take it away from you. And we all have family members that's like that. We have friends like that. We have colleagues like that. You know, and sometimes you have to play the game to learn how to avoid them. You know what I mean? And that's a real skill for someone not to take your power or to take your energy. I simply use, okay, thank you for your time. I gotta answer this phone call. Oh, I gotta go to the toilet. Oh, I got a meeting. You know what I mean? Whatever it takes to protect yourself, that's what's important. And I want everyone to realize that you are the most important person. You should love yourself more than your children. You know what I mean? Because if you're not loving yourself more than your children, if anything were to happen to you, you get ill, who's going to take care of your children? You know what I mean? If you're not taking the best care of yourself, God forbid, you know, something happens, like how are your children going to survive if you're not healthy, you're not protected, and you're not taking care of yourself? And the people say, oh, that's selfish, that you're more important than your wife or your children. No, because without me, my wife and children probably won't be at their best. So I have to be at my best and know that I'm important and I'm number one, so that I know my 2, 3, and 4 can be successful. But that's just me personally, because I know if I'm down, my wife's going to be down or my kids are going to be down. But if I'm happy and excited, they're going to be just as happy and excited. And if they aren't, I can uplift them because I'm feeling good and I'm positive about myself. And I know what tools I need to uplift my family and my community near around me. So really understand that you are the most important person and that you have to learn to put yourself first in a lot of these spaces, because when you put yourself first, it's going to allow you to take care of that circle, that circle around you and those family members, you know, and that's key, because, you know, as a male, you know, I like to think I'm the king of my castle. And my queen for my king to be well, my queen and my princes and princesses have to be in that same space. And it's my job to do that and keep them in that space and let them know that they're loved, they're protected, and they're provided for. And this is what it looks like. You know, because it's crucial to understand that, you know, we don't have a lot of positive people or a lot of positive imagery, you know, of Black families and Black people doing things. You know, but we have our TikToks and our social media that has where we know to go and look for it. But it's not going to magically pop up on the screen on TV or on the radio or ads. You know, we have to create that, and we have to promote that to our family or loved ones. You know, and that's really crucial. You know, and just to kind of get off tangent, you know, it's very important that when we have our children and they on these electronics, that we know if they're on TikToks and Instagram, even ourselves, what is your algorithm? What does it look like? Is it positive? Is it all jokes and laughs? Is it spiritual? Is it empowering? Is it uplifting? Like, what are you looking at? What are you feeding yourself? You know, don't get me wrong, jokes and giggles is all fine. But I tell my children, hey, there's a place and time for everything. Like, when you're gonna laugh and giggle your whole life, or you're gonna laugh and giggle for an hour and then have some other positive stuff for an hour, or you're gonna have some enlightening stuff for an hour. Like, what is that? What does it look like for you? Because life is not about laugh and giggles. Life is about loving and learning. You know, and that's constantly what I try to preach to my children, because it's about being a producer and producing love and producing and not being a consumer. You know, always, you know, putting stuff out and not taking stuff in unless it's positive. You know, and you have to get that positivity in, because we know there's negativity all around us. You know, I don't watch the news. That's one thing I do. That's my self-care. I don't watch the news. I don't watch any, it's negative. I can't do anything about it. If the world was to end tomorrow and they said it on the news, I wouldn't even know, because I don't watch it. People going to work, did you see this? I don't watch the news. There's nothing there for me. And I got my selected channels I may visit, my Black Power stuff, my Pan-African stuff. Yeah, I'll go there. But other than that, you know, it's about what you feed yourself, you know, because, you know, your mind, you know, is whatever you feed it and what you want out of it. You know what I mean? You have to be intentional on bringing in the good stuff and blocking out the bad stuff, and and know the difference between the two. And that's the same as with people, because you're going to run across people that you're going to encounter in life that may not have your best interests. And how do you navigate that space? You know, is really crucial as you move forward in life. You know, one thing I like to share is that, you know, especially for young people, make mistakes and learn from them. As you get older, you get my age, you can't afford to make mistakes, you know, because you should have learned everything in your teens, 20s, 30s, and 40s. You know what I mean? And you shouldn't be repeating the same mistakes. If you're repeating the same mistakes, one should really look at themselves in the mirror, because that's you being intentional on self-sabotaging. Like, you should know you shouldn't be making the same mistakes 2 or 3 times. You know, and that's a lot to do with your mental health and self-care and what you believe about yourself. Because if you're not putting yourself in the best position to be successful, you have to ask yourself why and be honest. You know, and that goes back to SMART goals. You know, are they realistic? Is that realistic for you? Like, can you achieve that? You know, some people have goals they set up and they're not realistic. You know, they're setting themselves up to fail. We see it every day in our industry, Nation. People, I'm gonna do this, but they don't want to do the work. It's baby steps. You can't take these long. I seen this one image, and it was an image of a ladder, and the ladder had like really big rugs, and then they had a ladder that had like average rugs, and rugs are the little steps on the ladders. You know, if the more smaller steps you take, the more successful you're gonna be. You have these big long steps, it's gonna be difficult. You know, and that's it. We need to be patient with ourselves, because patience is key. And with our children, someone said something earlier in the chat group about yelling with our children. We have to be patient and breathe. You know, take our time, but teach our children the same things. Our children need to learn emotional regulation at this age. And if we're not familiar with the emotional regulation, please Google it, because it is crucial. And I didn't realize how crucial. I didn't know it was called emotional regulation. Being a Black man growing up in America, you cannot be that angry man. You know, you really have to be pretty passive, or you will find yourself in a lot of difficult situations. And you have to be humble. Like, and I didn't learn that until I went to college, because I learned a lot. I went to a HBCU, went to a historical Black college, which I learned a lot about, you know, Africa and my Blackness, and things I didn't learn when I was younger because my parents wasn't aware of it. You know, and that's one of the things that we have to understand about some of our parents. So a lot of our parents did the best that they can do with what they had, and we as adults have to understand that. Like, we like, oh, you should have, like, yeah, you should have, could have, would have. We all know that, but during that time, you know, their whole thing was keeping you safe, and you are where you are now. So, you know, your parents, depending on what kind of job they did, look where you at now. You know, and that's how I kind of look at it, you know, because we all have we all have some trauma in our past, you know, and sometimes the key is if I usually have two things I try to say about trauma. If you can fix it or work on it, put the work in. If you can make changes to it and work around it and put some strategies and tools in place to help you deal with the situation and the emotion, the thoughts, do your best and deal with that. If you can't change the past, you know, work on tools on how best to not so much forget it, but not to allow it to take a lot of space in your mind. Allow you to remunerate it and think about it consistently. Because I kind of equate it to like death. You know, if you lost a loved one or something, there's nothing you can do about it. The individual's gone. You can pray and, you know, and remember the positive thoughts and the memories you had, but that's about all you can do. But you can't let that determine your life. You can't be so depressed and down that, you know, it takes over your life. And now that life that you have isn't as positive because you lost someone. You know, sometimes you have to think positive and say, hey, there's a positive in everything, almost. 99, 98%, there's a positive out of everything. You just have to find it. And it can be really hard. You know, people say COVID was horrible. Yeah, and lost loved ones. But my thinking is that, hey, we got to spend more time with family. You got to focus on more things that might be important to you. Maybe that loved one was unwell and now they're not suffering anymore. You know, I like to think of death as a homecoming and not so much as a loss. You know, and it's just a matter of how you think about things to really help you deal with challenges that may come across. You know, and it's not easy. This is something you have to practice and you have to be intentional and you have to be consistent. You know, and sometimes, you know, we live in this age where everything should be here yesterday. You know, this should have been done. I should have had this. Life doesn't work that way. You know, I wish it worked that way, but it takes work. It takes effort. You know, life isn't fair. You know, it just takes effort and hard work and consistency. You know, and I like to, my key words mostly I use is consistency and being intentional. You know, because to me, those words are very empowering to help you achieve the goals you want to achieve. You know, because I like to bring it back to the why you're here and what motivates you. You know, what's your main motivation? You know what I mean? I lost my parents when I was young. That's a huge motivator for me. You know, all my motivation is that my parents are looking down on me and they put a lot of energy and effort in me. So I need to be the best version of myself. I get a lot of my motivation from my ancestors. My ancestors toiled the ground in America and came across the Atlantic slave trade and transatlantic slave trade. And that motivates me. Like even when I came to Australia and I couldn't find work, I was like, you know what? My ancestors had it harder than this. I cannot give up. I mean, this is chump change. I just got food, I got shelter. You know what I mean? Ain't nobody on my back. You know, I ain't working the sun up to sundown. Like I need to be more because they were more for me to exist. We have to find what motivates us. We have to find out our why. And that's going to find out what your passion is. And that passion is what's going to drive you to be successful in whatever you want to be. And, you know, I speak to young people every day and I'm like, what's your passion? Like, what wakes you up in the morning? And no, I don't know. Well, if you don't know, I'm going to tell you. Well, I don't want to do what you said. You don't have an idea. You don't want to do what I want to say. Then what is the other option? You just can't do anything. Like, you're just fortunate you in Australia, because any other country, you cannot do anything. You're going to have to do something. You know, go shovel some snow, go raise some gas, go collect some cans, but you have to be active in life. And you have to find that passion and that why. And when you find that, that's going to kind of take up a lot of your energy. And sometimes it will take away all that negative thinking you may have because you're so preoccupied with chasing your why and being motivated by what you want. You know, and when you surround yourself around individuals in that community that believes in your why or helping you with your why, it's going to even empower you to be even bigger. And you may even get other people that might want to join your team and assist you on your why, or make those collaborations where you can help one another. That connectedness and community is huge, and that's one of the things that is crucial in the African community that we don't do as well as we should do. I think there's room for huge importance. I think we're getting a lot better at it. I still think, everyone still got their own little pockets here and there, but, as a Pan-African, I think it's that unity that brings everyone together so we can be stronger as a unit and then individualized, and we're doing that in some places like Mali, Burkina Faso, in Niger. They're coming around. I think as we see our leaders do it, I think then the people will be more sustained to do it and maybe more motivated to come together and see that, hey, once we start coming together, loving us and respecting each other, I think we could really see that growth and that mindset really take off. And therefore, I think a lot of our challenges that we have around mental health, once we start seeing positivity going on in our community, that's going to even help us another fold to really say, hey, let's take this to another level. Let's really start working on one another as a community and being there for one another, and not, challenging ourselves, challenging one another, or even judging one another, and that's one of those things that really affects individuals, because when you constantly thinking about other people, you're not thinking about yourself, and you're not thinking about your community. And that's the areas that really, gets individuals to follow their passion and their why, and really motivate them to achieve what you want in life. One thing I like, another one of my tips is I have whiteboards. I don't know. I got quite a few whiteboards around the house, and then I write on my whiteboards tasks and things I want to accomplish. And that's something that holds me accountable, that I do things, because that accountability is very difficult if you don't have someone to hold you accountable. If you got a partner and they, even if you have a partner, there's a way you have to communicate to hold people accountable so they don't feel like you're blaming them or down, saying they're not doing what they need to do. It's that conversation that you have to say, hey, you said you was going to do this, do you need some help in accomplishing that? Is there any way I can help you achieve those things that you said you wanted to do? Because procrastination is real, and sometimes we procrastinate because some people are afraid of success, as much as they are afraid of failure, because it could be foreign in them. They might not feel they've ever been successful, and they may know that comes with responsibility and may come with more, But the key is that we have to hold ourselves accountable. If you have a goal or a task or something you want to accomplish, write it down. And I love the journaling. The journal is fantastic. Some people journal, don't even look at it again. And some people journal and they review it because they want to know how they overcame certain tasks. Like if you overcame a certain task and you write it in your journal and you run across that challenge again, you can go back to you and say, oh, that's what I did. I slept well that night. I've been eating healthy. I've been exercising, doing the bare minimum of the self-care. But you have to be consistent with that. And that's the key. If you're going to eat healthy, eat healthy. If you're going to say, I'm going to have a cheat day, didn't have a cheat day, but be honest, make sure it's measurable, specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and timely. When you set those goals up, just make sure that's what it is, because when you find out when you haven't achieved your goal, you need to look back and say, oh, this is where I made my mistake. That's what I did incorrectly. I can learn from that. Let me just put that. Now let me put something in place of that so that I remember next time. So maybe I shouldn't tell myself I'm gonna walk at 7 o'clock in the morning. Maybe I'm gonna walk between 7 and 9. Maybe if I'm gonna prep my meal, I need to go grocery shopping at this time and make out a proper plan and and do it that way. Like we have to be intentional on what we want, because when we try to, I'm not very good. My memory's not the best, but if I tend to write everything down, just
Thank
for
you.
that,
Thank you, Orlando. Thank you for going. Sorry.
I'm sorry, I talk all day,
Got
y'all.
to wrap it up. Yes. Thank you so much, because I want people to at least say something. So thank you for listening through, everybody who's still here with us. We appreciate you for pushing through, and yeah, we've gone a bit over time, but it's obviously important for all of us to listen to one another. So I would like to open the room for anyone who wants to share some of the tips they use to keep themselves healthy, or along the goals of mindsets, something that was not mentioned already. That would be an ideal. So yeah.
And also read good books or listen to books. If you don't like to read, then listen. And dance. Don't ever stop dancing. If you got little kids, put the music on and dance. Let these kids know it's okay to dance with your mama and your daddy. Get silly with it.
Nice. Anyone? Mac, anyone who haven't spoken? We would like to hear from you if you have any tips.
Actually, I just wanted to say something real quick. I believe like prayer does help. You know what I mean? Despite what we all go through and whatnot, but like God, a high being, like does always answer. And yeah, I think through our darkest times, if we pray, we'll get answers. That's all.
Thank you. Awesome.
Yeah. My grandmother always had a saying: "You need to pray, but you need to keep it moving." Like
no, definitely.
You know what I mean? So
actions do play that, but it's always those steps though.
Oh yeah, you gotta pray. You gotta get that gratitude and thanks. But action.
Pray and put in work.
Because
God does speak and wants you to do things. He wants you to look after your health. He wants you to help the world. I speak to us differently. So I think that's what Orlando trying to say. Pray and put in work as well, because we are his vessels. So so anyone else want to share any tips? So I'm just going to summarize it quickly if anyone else doesn't have anything else to say. And yeah, Sarah, Josephine, Alicia, Karen. Sorry to put you on the spot. Anyone wants to say anything before we end?
I just want to say one thing, sorry. We should be mindful of our choices. All right? Be mindful of what you choose to do, because it's going to have, that's all you have in life, the choices you make. You wake up, if you're going to do this, you're going to do that. We know what our choices, most people know right from wrong. You know what's going to motivate you and what's going to help you and what's going to hinder you. Just be aware of the choices that you make, because you are you are, what's that word about your mind? You are the maker of your mind. Like you direct yourself what to do. Like you make those choices.
For sure. Which comes back to having self-reflection, knowing what your values are, and then focusing on your values. And your values will kind of direct the choices you make, because every choice you make, you'll say, that doesn't really go with my values. So knowing your values, obviously our values, you can have many, but having priority, maybe let's say you have 10, but there may be 5 that are really important. Often they will really direct your choices, from procrastination to good relationships to health, and to even wanting to heal, because again, nobody wants to say anything, because I'm just going to summarize what we've gone through quickly, and then I will give a space for Nyamach to come back on for 2 minutes, and then we shall end. So are we happy with that?
I was just gonna quickly add, if it's okay, Nyacha, on the point of like before, when I don't know, it was Sidonia and one of our guests, they were talking about navigating the whole journey of healing and overcoming like past traumas, and we did highlight that it's like it's work. It's work that we don't get paid for. And I just like to say that for those that are in the room that are not yet at that phase or that space where they have started doing their work, or don't even know how to approach it, that that it's okay, that sometimes you need other people along the way. It might be like a therapist, or a faith leader, as Tempest was saying, or people within our own like communities or our own groups, and it doesn't have to be like faith-based. It could be anything. I have like a creative community that I always touch base with whenever I feel like I need to like ground myself or find my direction. So I just wanted to say that it's okay if you're not at that stage yet where you know how you're going to work towards healing your like childhood traumas and things like that. That it's okay to work on it like slowly by slowly and chip away at it slowly. And everyone, we're all at our own life journeys, and no one model is the same as the other. It's all about finding our own like path and aligning it to our life and how we hope to see ourselves in the future. So that's all I wanted to add. And thank you for having us. This has been a really wholesome discussion. It's been really lovely.
Thank you. It's been great having you guys. So,
hi everyone.
Oh, hi. Go Josephine. Yeah.
Yeah, Josephine. Oh, me, I've learned a lot about the positive attitude of whatever you have discussed, because the self-glow, mental glow, it starts with oneself, being positive, taking everything to be positive. Even if you see a mountain, just challenge yourself and tell yourself that I'm gonna climb that mountain. Even if you're just gonna go like even a half or a quarter of it, at least you have done something. So it's good to challenge yourself. As Orlando has said, he has been challenging himself. I like that. So, and the most important thing anyway, we are Christian, we believe in God, and we put God first, and then everything follows. But you have to put on your efforts. You cannot just sit on a couch and say, oh, God is going to provide. And so that is good. I'm happy about the topic today. And about even the lady who talked initially before, I'm happy about it. It's just about motivation and challenging yourself, because we have passed through so many things and we need to ask ourselves, why are we here? Because immediately you ask yourself, even if you're just sleeping, like you're just dozing around, you're lazing around, you ask yourself and you say, no, I'm here for a purpose. But remember not to forget about yourself. Just don't be a workaholic and forget about yourself. Appreciate yourself in every area. If it is music, listen to music, dance. As usually, I always say, go to the gym, eat healthy. That is just appreciating yourself, because you cannot pay yourself. Yes, that is a very positive topic today. I'm happy about it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Josephine, and thank you for your feedback. That's so great to have you. Yeah, so we are coming to end of our mental glow up. And as we established for the last 90 minutes or so, that it's more than the physical, encompasses all. So we want to make sure that we do self-reflection, and then we notice which part may need more. Maybe some parts you're already doing well. So then, take a deep reflection on what other parts could I venture off. We are there. It's still January. We're about to get to February. You still got many more months to go. This could be your next 11 months you can work on whatever area. You could do both at the same time, or you can pick one area that maybe is very important to you, but self-reflection will be the only way. So being really honest with yourself, which part am I lacking on? And really, it will look ugly. It may be a bit disappointing, but if you're really honest with yourself, sit down and think on what can I do better? Look at how things are going around you and what area are you contributing and what area can you work on, so emotionally, we can do things to ensure that we are healthy. Nyamach talked about that, letting go of things, letting go of people that are holding us down, letting go of self-blame, letting go of critics, letting go of toxic circle, even letting go of habits that also keep us toxic, and then, saying no, setting boundaries on what you can't or can't do, conforming to what just because, let's say, for example, your family does certain things. If that does not go with your values, you can say, I'm not going to be part of that. I will love you from the distance. I will take part in other areas of our traditions, but I can't do this one because it does not sit well with me. So boundaries are not just, what other people do as well, but boundaries with yourself, saying to yourself, I'm not like that anymore, and therefore I don't do this. And then holding yourself accountable when you do stray outside your, your ideal you, who you're supposed to be. Being organized, so having a journal, having a to-do list, being organized. So knowing when you're doing what, when you're going to do it, and actually doing it. So that goes back to the goal setting of being realistic, not setting unrealistic expectations for yourself. If you're going to be a president, what does it take to be a president? You may need to do certain things. So not living your life as a destination, because if you keep doing that, then if you fail, you're going to think it's your fault, well, rather than the journey that you had to go through. So being organized is important for your mental glow up, as well as emotional, spiritual, being okay. If you're not religious, what are you then? Obviously, there's a higher power. Find that thing that keeps you grounded, that keeps you in present, that keeps you believing that if things don't go well, it's not because it's your fault of your own. Or if things are going well, it's not because of your own power. Having someone higher or something higher to hold you accountable. And if that is, faith, then that's awesome as well. That's great. But do the work and work out what it is, but you just have to not leave that area of your life. I know Western society, it's about, me, and sometimes we forget that we did not, like, none of this didn't just happen. It's not all our power. We are the vessel. We've got the legs and the eyes and the wisdom to think and create things and make good things happen for ourselves, but there is something that's guiding us. So being aware of that. Also seeking help, whether it's from a community, from church, from your circle of friends, or therapist or counselor or whatever. Just knowing when you can't do it alone. If there's an area you've been working on and it's not you're not perfecting it, ask someone else, how are they doing it? If there's someone you inspire or someone you look up to, ask them, how are they doing it? How can, be vulnerable, be honest with yourself, be authentic. Don't do it alone either. Ask for help, because people will generally want to help as well, especially if they've mastered something. They're not going to hold that learning to themselves. They will teach, they will show you. Having a good routine. If you're going to be healthy, especially mentally, emotionally, spiritually, you need to prioritize your sleep. And in many sessions, we've covered that. Prioritize your sleep, get your minimum hours, good quality sleep as well. And also wake up appropriately. Like you don't have to be working to have a routine. You can't just sleep all day and then, like, just have structure in your life. Because if your life is chaotic, you're waking up whenever, you're sleeping whenever, you're going unplanned destinations, or you're going unplanned parties. Like if your life is just, oh, it just happens, I'm going to go there. It's not organized. So be specific, be realistic, and be prepared. If someone invite you somewhere and that's not you, it wasn't part of your plan, and your sleep was priority, you could say, I can't attend that. It's a last minute for me. That's absolutely okay. If someone wants to come over to your place, but you just want to sleep or do your journaling, you could say, not today. So being able to say no and being able to have a very organized routine, and it's not being selfish, it's not being difficult or restrictive, but as long as you're doing it from a point of, I'm saying no to this so I can say yes to me, so you're not saying yes, no out of just want to be, difficult, but you're saying, I'm saying no to you coming over because I need to put me first. That is okay. What else? Being in the nature. We are part of the nature, so put yourself out there, go for a walk to the bush, to the beach. It will clear your mind. It will give you different perspective. It will give you this sense of gratitude, because the world is so beautiful. You like, wow, look at these trees, look at those leaves, look at these birds, look at the ocean. I know they may, but when you are, especially when you want to start being in present and you want to have a sense of deeper gratitude than just I'm thankful for the bed, but a deeper gratitude that almost heals all the wounds, that almost makes you feel like even when things are going wrong, you still feel immense peace. Even when you're suffering from loss, maybe it's grief, when you have that deeper gratitude, it's so healing. And you can get that through being with part of the nature. To put yourself out there, don't be confined on your walls, on your work, on your circle. Go for a walk, enjoy the vitamin D in the morning, drink tap water that God has blessed us with in this country that lots of people are not able to access, right? So obviously with all that, when you able to tap into all your areas of your life inwardly, it'll be so easy for everybody else to see the glow externally. If you're getting your vitamin D and you're sleeping well, of course your skin is going to glow. You know, of course your mood is going to improve, because we know those are the things that you need anyway. So, you know, when you surround yourself with positive people, of course, they're going to uplift you. So how could you possibly be depressed when you have people that uplift you, encourage you, inspire you? You know, when you're thinking deeper, how are you going to be worried about what tomorrow's bring when you're happy with what you have now? So everything we talked about today correlate. They're all important. It's not one or the other. And your journey will be different. So we're just encouraging you through these sessions that to take it serious. It's not just going to happen. You have to put in work. So start reflecting and start working on yourself so you could be the best person out there that then can change somebody else's life. Somebody else can be inspired by you, and then they start that journey as well. So I will stop there. If you have any questions, please ask me now. There's 1 minute, and then I'll stop the recording. Thank you.
I just wanted to clap for you. That's all. Well done, Nyasha. And thank you again for having us.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. It's been, yeah, I've learned a lot, and I'm inspired, and I want to go and get my journal and start continue my work, because I'm working on myself so much. So I'm still in that journey. Anyway.
You know what we said? Remember what we said? Compassion, grace, and kindness.
Yeah, yes.
Take your own advice.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
Important.